We have a big show today. Yesterday, there was a showdown against Donald Trump and his criminality, and he was not even in the country. He was fuming from Switzerland. And let me tell you, friends, he did not look good. The guy, I don't even know how to describe it to you beyond saying, uh, he he looked as if he was about to, I don't know, keel over. But I want to share this with you. There was an image going around on social media, and you would think it cannot actually be real. But I looked it up. It is a Getty image, and I feel like you deserve to see it. He not only overnight was tweeting voraciously. I should call it truthing, but I like to call it stress tweeting when it comes to him. He was losing his mind. And I want to share this photo with you. Look at it. This is literally from the Getty image page I just pulled up for you. The photographer is Chip Somadavila. If you look at Donald Trump in this photo, he has a giant bruise on the back of his left hand. You can tell it's his left hand because you can see the American flag on his left lapel. But also, when asked about it, Carolyn Leavitt couldn't go to her usual excuse or lie, which is to say, oh, he bruises when he shakes hands with people because he shakes with his right hand. So she claims that he just nicked his hand or hit his hand at some kind of table in Davos. Okay, guys, he is losing his shit and he is spiraling right now on Truth Social. And why is that the case? Here's why. I want you to hear what Jack Smith did yesterday and the others there. And I'm not playing you, except for one, the lunatic Republicans. Let me show you what went down. And the bottom line is here, criminal activity in public at a hearing that the Republicans wanted to call. Jack Smith made clear that but for running out of time before Donald Trump, after the election and before he was going to be inaugurated, he would have tried these cases and he had evidence beyond a reasonable doubt to convict him. Donald Trump belongs in prison. And when asked by Vermont State Rep Rebecca Ballant whether he was concerned or he believed that Donald Trump, that the Justice Department was going to try to criminally charge him with something trumped up, so to speak, Jack Smith said yes, because they're getting orders from Donald Trump. It was a sobering, direct, no holds barred testimony. And I want to share this with you. Oh, last thing. He said, I will not be intimidated. We all need that mantra. There are moments when we all get scared, when we all get discouraged, when we all lose hope, when we are all embarrassed by this buffoon, this dangerous egomaniac man whose whole mentality is your consent does not matter. I take what I want. This is a monster, and he is triggering for a lot of us. And we can get scared, and we can get discouraged, and we can feel hopeless, and we can feel angry and take it out on things and people around us. But what if we try this when we are having those feelings? Fear, I will not be intimidated. Feeling discouraged, I will not lose hope. Feeling, I don't know, angry, I will stand in my power. We have power. He will not last forever. I am encouraged by the communities in Minneapolis, not just on the streets with their whistles, but going around to homes of their neighbors who are immigrants who are afraid to leave and bringing them groceries. Maybe it's just the Midwestern sensibility that I have, but I am so proud and I look to those people. They will not be intimidated. Period. Now, let me share with you, because I think this is the start here, what Jack Smith had to say. Just some clips. I know a lot of you watch this, but I think we honor him and honor the rule of law when we share this. And don't worry, I got some crazy town for you later in the show.
As I testify before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. If asked whether to prosecute a former president based on the same facts today, I would do so regardless of whether that president was a Democrat or a Republican. No one should be above the law in this country, and the law required that he be held to account, so that is what I did. To have done otherwise on the facts of these cases would have been to shirk my duties as a prosecutor and as a public servant, of which I had no intention of doing.
Whew. Okay. And there's more, right? Let's look at those charges. Here we go.
During my tenure as special counsel, we followed Justice Department policies. We observed legal requirements and took actions based on the facts and the law. I made my decisions without regard to President Trump's political association, activities, beliefs, or candidacy in the 2024 election. President Trump was charged because the evidence established that he willfully broke the law, the very laws he took an oath to uphold. Grand juries in 2 separate districts reached this conclusion based on his actions, as alleged in the indictments they returned. Rather than accept his defeat in the 2020 election, President Trump engaged in a criminal scheme to overturn the results and prevent the lawful transfer of power. After leaving office in January of 21, President Trump illegally kept classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago social club and repeatedly tried to obstruct justice to conceal his continued retention of those documents. Highly sensitive national security information was held in a ballroom and a bathroom. As I testify before the committee today, I want to be clear. I stand by my decisions as special counsel, including the decision to bring charges against President Trump. Our investigation developed proof beyond a reasonable doubt that President Trump engaged in criminal activity. If asked whether to prosecute a former president.
So that was a lead up to that, right? He talked generally about the case at the beginning, the 2 cases, and then dug deeper into the election case. The thing is, he is not permitted because there is still a gag order from a Florida federal judge, which will not allow him to get into certain details about the documents case. And the problem here is the gag order was associated with an ongoing litigation, right? And that case is over. So Eileen Cannon, the federal judge in Florida, should be lifting the gag order. But because she has not, he couldn't talk about the documents case beyond those bullet points. But guess what? Jamie Raskin, who is the highest ranking Democrat on the House Judiciary Committee, is smarter than the Republicans. He knew that there are rules in the House when the majority party has a hearing. Let me just back up. I have testified in the House and in the Senate. And the majority party, and I did this when the Republicans had the majority. And when a hearing is called by a committee or subcommittee, the chair, which is the person in the party that has control, gets to set the date, and they get to invite the witnesses. However, the minority party is permitted to invite at least one, is my understanding, because I have been the one witness. I know I was at a Senate hearing where there were 4 of us, and I was the one witness at that time called by the chair of the Senate Banking Committee, which was Sherrod Brown. And I was once in the House, and I don't know how many, I think I was the only one. I think there might have been 4 or 5 of us. Okay. But what Jamie knew is when the majority party calls a hearing and has one witness that they call, and it's a one witness hearing, which makes sense at times, that would deprive the minority party from calling a witness they would want. So the way the rules work is you have to allow the minority party, meaning Jamie Raskin and the Democrats, to call that witness back in the future. Do you see where I'm going? Jamie announced this yesterday, and it shocked the hell out of the Republicans. The way it works is this. It's not just automatic. If the majority of the minority parties, if the majority of Democrats on the House Judiciary Committee agreed they wanted to see Jack Smith again, they get to. And guess what? All of them did. And Jamie had the receipts, and he showed the signed document. So this means Jamie gets to invite Jack Smith back, and he will wait until Cannon lifts the gag order. So we will be able to see at last, the report that has been suppressed about the documents. Why did Donald keep them? What else do we know about who he shared them with? And Jack Smith will testify again. That is something that will be a blockbuster. But let me go back to yesterday's hearing. I can't show all the amazing people, but let me share a couple. Let me share Eric Swalwell, whom I adore, from California, opining a little bit before he asked questions of Smith.
Mr. Smith, I want you to have the utmost confidence in what you did. You did everything right. Harry Dunn, Danny Hodges, Sergeant Cannell, Mike Fanone, they did everything right. These guys, my Republican colleagues, are a joke. They're wrong. History will harshly judge them. So I want you to lean in today. You have nothing to be ashamed of. You did everything right, sir. And I am these guys are so lucky they're not.
Let me just pause for a second. Jack Smith has got the poker face, right? I don't. You can see me. I'm expressive. Jack Smith is apolitical, as Swalwell is going at this and praising the officers who stood up and protected the congresspeople and who were injured, right? Including Harry Dunn and Mike Fanone and Sergeant Cannell. And then called the Republicans a clown. Jack just took a swig of water. Kind of amazing. Let's keep going.
Not under oath, because they would have to tell you what they really think of Trump. They call him crooked. They call him cruel. They call him a scumbag. I've heard you all say it. You're lucky you're not under Trump, but when the lights go on and the cameras are on, you're tiny, you're small, you shrink.
Ooh.
Everyone remembers Matt Gaetz coming over here after a committee hearing. He would laugh at how stupid he thought Trump was. This is all a show. And Mr. Smith, you're just the latest act that they've brought in. But they can't erase what happened on January 6th because we saw it with our own eyes.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, you heard it. He said it. And I hope someone showed that to Donald Trump because it will piss him off. Now, you know where I'm going with this. Speaking of those officers, they were there in the hearing room, in the gallery there at the House Judiciary Committee room. And there was a moment when a congressman from Texas, Trey Nels, had the floor, so to speak. It was his turn. It was his time. And he chose to attack and insult these patriots, these men who have suffered, have PTSD, have ongoing physical injuries in some cases, to insult them. And the reason why he did, I believe, is their presence in that room belies the lie, essentially. Their presence in that room is the physical and human embodiment of the reality that this was a violent attack on the Capitol, that Donald Trump encouraged and took advantage of and is responsible for. So let me play for you, and we'll talk on the other side this. And I think you need to listen real carefully. You may have seen this, to Mike Fanone's, and we'll talk about what he said. Go ahead, take a listen.
I would like to quickly address the police officers of January 6th. Mr. Dunn, Mr. Fanone, Mr. Gonell, Mr. Hodges. I'm a member of the new select committee to actually examine what happened that day. And I can tell you, gentlemen, that the fault does not lie with Donald Trump. It lies with Yogananda Pittman and the U.S. Capitol leadership team. We know they had the intelligence, and there was going to be...
Oh my God. He just said, go fuck yourself. And I love him. I am married. I don't want to marry Michael Fanone, but I love him in my heart because that is what I would do, because I would have no self-control in that situation. Oh my God. I need to work on it. I see that, but I'm glad sometimes that others don't. The guy just said he's on the select committee to investigate them. And he's already decided before the investigation is over that they're the problem. Let me just, I want to back up so you can hear that all the way through without me interrupting.
It lies with Yogananda Pittman and the U.S. Capitol leadership team. We know they had the intelligence, and there was going to be a high propensity for violence that day. Claim my time, yeah.
You will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. We've had some disruptions already. We don't need that. Let the gentleman may continue.
We know the Capitol leadership team, specifically Yogananda Pittman, had the intelligence, and there was going to be a high propensity for violence that day.
Oh God. How do you, I mean, that man was once a baby in someone's arms, cooing with the cute little feet. What went wrong in his life or in our culture or in his brain that he would be proud of the disgusting, I don't know, blob of pumping human life that he is? What is he? A menace, useless, terrible. How does that happen? I don't know. Okay. There were further incident kind of where people had to pull Fanon and this guy apart. And afterwards, the Democrats applauded the officers because this was cruel. It was unnecessary. And you know how I've made it clear how I feel about it. Now, there's more here. One thing that Jack Smith addressed when he was asked by Rep. Garcia is about the pardons of these violent insurrectionists. Let me play that for you.
Prosecutor, can you describe why these pardons make our communities less safe and undermine our criminal legal system more broadly?
The people who assaulted police officers and were convicted after trial, in my view, and I think in the view of the judges who sentenced them to prison, are dangers to their community. As you've mentioned, some of these people have already committed crimes against their communities again, and I think all of us, if we're reasonable, know that there's going to be more crimes committed by these people in the future. I do not understand why you would mass pardon people who assaulted police officers. I don't get it. I never will.
That's exactly right. And none of this is a coincidence. The entire purpose of the Republican Party, unfortunately, has become to help criminals and corporate interests evade accountability. Republicans want impunity, not accountability.
Wow. I'm seeing something in the chat and I'm so sorry. This just hit me when I saw this Electron Creations. You wrote that Troy Nels has the same exact name as a guy who killed your partner in a drunk driving accident in 2008. I am so sorry for you about that memory that was triggered. And I hope it's not the same person. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. So there were also moments of people flubbing, and we've got Representative Grothman trying to defend Donald Trump, but it goes off the rails for him. So let me play this one for you.
You have more conversations with 10, 15 people on this committee who have more conversations with Donald Trump than myself. But anybody who says that Donald Trump thought he won that election, that is just plain not true. No way, unless he's the best actor in the history of this building.
We agree.
Did Donald Trump believe?
Order.
Donald Trump did not believe. Donald Trump.
He got it backwards. His staff, this is a Republican from Wisconsin. And his staff wrote something up for him and he got it backwards. He was trying to say, I don't know what. Let's try it again. He was trying to say Donald Trump believed he won the election, but he ended up saying that he did not believe it. It's really weird. Let's go.
Probably 10 people on this committee who have more conversations with 10, 15 people on this committee who have more conversations with Donald Trump than myself. But anybody who says that Donald Trump thought he won that election, that is just plain not true. No way, unless he's the best actor in the history of this building.
We agree.
Did Donald Trump believe?
Order.
Donald Trump did not believe. Donald Trump did not believe he lost that election. He just didn't. No way. And I think on January 6th, I can't believe there were any congressmen here who didn't think Joe Biden was going to be sworn in as president. So it was a riot, but it wasn't a threat to the future of the.
Yeah, there were people who were running for their lives, and Mike Pence was so worried that they took him out of the building so that he could come back despite Donald's threats and actually go through the process of counting the votes. But this guy did more to help the cause against Donald Trump he did not help Donald Trump. He helped his opponents. And Yeah, Guy, that's kind of nuts. Okay, got a couple more clips for you.
Press release from Congressman Jeff Van Drew's statement on storming the Capitol.
Okay, so what I want to show you is Jamie Raskin was on top of his game. He had the receipts to call out the very people on the committee who have turned coats, who are suddenly carrying Trump's water, and read what their reactions were right after January 6, 2021. Let's go.
This is a press release from Congressman Jeff Van Drew's statement on storming the Capitol building, calling it unacceptable, un-American, and disrespectful of democracy.
Without objection.
Haha. So there you have it. I mean, this is just the beginning. I look forward to the next round of hearings. Now, I do want to share one last clip here, and it's the bottom line. It's about the rule of law, and then I'll switch to a different topic. Here we go.
Judgment and advice of my team. President Trump has sought to seek revenge against career prosecutors, FBI agents, and support staff simply for having worked on these cases. To vilify and seek retribution against these people is wrong. Those dedicated public servants are the best of us, and it has been a privilege to serve with them. After nearly 30 years of public service, including in international settings, I have seen how the rule of law can erode. My fear is that we have seen the rule of law function in our country for so long that many of us have come to take it for granted. The rule of law is not self-executing. It depends on our collective commitment to apply it. It requires dedicated service on behalf of others, especially when that service is difficult and comes with costs. Our willingness to pay those costs is what tests and defines our commitment to the rule of law and to this wonderful country. Thank you.
So, yes, he was committed to the rule of law, but the Supreme Court stalled him. And here we are. And most of the statutes of limitations are 5 years. Now, what do we do? Now, what do we do? The answer is impeach. Impeach. I saw Jason say that. This is enough. And the way, do I think we're going to get to 23? 3 Republicans in the House and 20 in the Senate? No, but we do have the midterms. And that is really, unfortunately, the only way to get this man out of office. I mean, but I still think you should call. Now, I want to talk about the rule of law in a different way, because you heard, I think it was Garcia, you heard the pardon conversation, how it is the project of Donald Trump and the Republican Party, because he is their leader, to give pardons to white-collar criminals and so on. And there is a new thing that ProPublica just put out about a guy named Bitcoin Jesus. And I'm going to share this with you right now. This is a really important story that you're not going to hear in the regular news because, there was like several hours of a special last night, for example, on MSNBC or MS Now, talking about the Jack Smith testimony. And I get that. I get it. But there's not a lot of space often for stories like this, which are really important. And this is an article that just came out yesterday. And it was written by Avi Asher Shapiro and Molly Redden in ProPublica. And it's called How Bitcoin Jesus Avoided Prison Thanks to One of the Friends of Trump. And here are the highlights. Let me just do this. I'm going to drop this in the chat so you can either listen to the article. It's a 19-minute listen, or you can, here you go. Or you can read it, right? And what I want to share with you about this is as follows: some highlights. That this fugitive, known as Bitcoin Jesus, his name is Roger Ver, he avoided prison. And the way he did it is he hired a defense attorney that the prosecutors refer to as one of the friends of Trump. And this article is concerning because federal prosecutors wanted this guy, this Bitcoin Jesus, to be, as ProPublica says, the marquee example amid concerns about widespread cryptocurrency tax evasion. And this is, it's really kind of astonishing. Let me read you the first paragraph. It's enticing. Days into President Donald Trump's second term in the White House, a cryptocurrency billionaire posted a video on X to his hundreds of thousands of followers. And here's what he said. "Please, Donald Trump, I need your help," he said, wearing a flag pin askew and seated awkwardly in an armchair. "I am an American. Help me come home." So this guy was actually not an American, right? He had denounced his U.S. citizenship. He'd renounced it more than 10 years before, right? Probably because he didn't want to pay U.S. taxes. He was 46 years old, and he was called Bitcoin Jesus because he was like so into digital currency. He was like evangelizing for it. And at the time he made this video, according to this ProPublica article, he was under criminal indictment for millions of dollars in tax evasion. And he was living on Mallorca, which is a Spanish island. So, he was able to cut a deal. Remember, he had millions of dollars, and instead of pleading guilty or going to prison, they let him pay his tax bill without penalty, around just under $50 million, and let him walk away. And I think that this phenomenon is, like, I can call it pay to prey on people, or a license to steal, is where we are. It's where we are right now. And whether it is the use of pardons or other forms of clemency, or this kind of special deal for people who get in with a friend of Trump attorney, is the way this game is played. Okay. I got one more thing, and then I'm going to get you to Crazy Town. One of the most detestable people on the planet is Greg Bovino, the head of the customs. I guess, I don't know how he has this official title. I've heard that it's not his official title, but he is essentially the kind of head of Border Patrol. I don't really know, like, I've heard conflicting things about his title, but anyway, he's apparently head of Customs and Border Patrol. I don't know, but he's that little guy who cosplays as a Nazi, and despite court orders not to use gas or excessive force against protesters, lobs things into crowded spaces, gas containers and things like that. He was at a press conference and asked about this abduction of children, right? We talked about this yesterday, about the Liam Ramos, the child who was getting out of his father's car, pulling up in the driveway after school, and the agent takes him to the door and tries to get him to trick the family into opening up the door. Now he and his father have been sent to some facility in Texas where it is dangerous. And in terms of, I read that the food is filled with worms. This is a terrifying thing and unnecessary. The father, I mean, there was nothing criminally violent. I think he was in the midst. I think the father was trying to get his he was an asylum seeker. No criminal record. That they talk about. I mean, this is outright racism. They're going after people who they don't want in this country. And they've made it clear why they're doing it. And it's unthinkable. It's happening. It's grotesque. It's cruel. And it is the Gestapo. It's equivalent to that. So let's hear what he said when he was asked about his moral feelings about abducting children.
Final question. Do you have any moral or ethical qualms about detaining a 5-year-old on his way back from preschool?
Be more specific on that.
Liam Ramos from the Columbia Heights School District. Do you have any moral or ethical qualms about that?
We conduct legal, ethical, and moral law enforcement missions here in Minneapolis. So as far as what you're saying with that particular individual, you'll have to be more specific because I didn't detain a 5-year-old. And we're going to continue with that law enforcement mission. Oftentimes you will see violent illegal aliens that perhaps do have families. And those violent criminal illegal aliens are going to be arrested. I've got no qualms about making America a safer place when we arrest those illegal aliens.
So Liam Ramos.
Go ahead.
Commander Al.
I mean, it's not true what he is saying. It's not ethical. It's not legal. And he is not just going after people who are violent criminals, right? Even such a small percentage of people have any kind of criminal record, and it might be an old, drug thing caught with marijuana, or it might be a car accident, or they might have paid their debt to society already. And it's just not true what he is saying. So there we have it. But I think we deserve a little crazy town right now before we head out for the very cold weekend. It is going to be where I am, 20 below with wind chill, just 5 below without it. Also, where everyone's getting snow, it seems like. So bundle up, stay warm. If you're in a place where it's not warm, or even if you think you have heat and electricity, find out where the nearest heating shelters are in your community. If your heat goes off and you need to go there, know where they are. Please. Okay. Let us do a little crazy town because we sure as hell need it. Okay. Crazy town is JD Vance. I'm not as worried about JD Vance being popular should the day come that Donald Trump steps down or is no longer on the planet. And, he would either have to become vice president or JD Vance running for president in the next election. The guy doesn't have the riz. He's an idiot. And let me play for you what he said. I mean, he's such a moron. Here we go.
Of cooperation that we need. Look, I don't need Tim Walz or Jacob Frey or anybody else to come out and say that they agree with JD Vance or Donald Trump on immigration. I just don't need that. What I do need them to do is empower their local officials to help our federal officials out in a way where this can be a little bit less chaotic and it can be a little bit more targeted. Like if we're trying to find a sex offender, tell us where the guy lives.
I know. Call on me. Call on me. The question is, if we're trying to find a sex offender, tell us where the guy lives. I know. Pick me. He lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Bye, guys.
Hello, prison mates. It's the Gen Taub Show. Well, welcome everyone. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There was hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Gen Taub Show.